Hey everybody, and welcome to our early comic review video. I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
We're here with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and this is our big show where we show you some of the biggest and best books that are releasing this week to your local comic book store. They are coming out on Wednesday. Some amazing stuff coming out this week that we are going to tell you a little bit more about. That way you're more prepared when you head into your local comic book store, or if you go over to infinityflux.net, order some books. We want you to be a little bit more informed because information is power.
Yay.
Yay.
And it's also half, no, that's knowing is half the battle.
Yeah, but knowledge is another part of
that's
that battle.
That's true, yeah.
So, like we said, this is a big week. Some heavy-hitting books. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say about the shipments.
Yeah, that's what I was about to get into, and I was like, you can say it.
Yeah, so we have a couple of packages that we're still waiting on. So not necessarily everything will be on the website just yet. By, I don't know, about 7 o'clock or so tomorrow evening, 7 Eastern, everything should be there, hopefully. We do have more variants than what we'll show today. But because one of the shipments came in late today, they're still working on, putting stuff in everybody's pull box and doing inventory and stuff like that. So we have lots of variants to show, but if you check the website, there will be even more than that. It's just we couldn't take too much because they might already be spoken for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's get into this week with one of the big books of the year.
Yeah.
And kicking off kind of our fall big event.
So that is DCKO #1. This is where it starts right here. This is written by Scott Snyder, Joshua Williamson, the artist by Javier Fernandez and Hermanico. And this book is going to be hard to talk about because it's so epic. It's so big in scope. There's so many big ideas in this that and it's just exciting too that I don't want to spoil anything for you at all. I want you to experience as much of this as you can for yourself. So kind of rather than walking through the story, I'm just going to try to give you a really high level overview of what's happening. Basically, Darkseid has returned, and he is more powerful than ever. He is essentially a god at this point, to the point where he can be everywhere and everywhen all at once.
You may have seen that in some of the DC books from the last couple of weeks. There's been a couple backup pages where you see that scene where they kind of realize Darkseid's out there and this is unlike any time he's ever appeared.
Yeah, they have never fought a Darkseid like this before. And the heroes, this is very, very oversimplifying it, but the heroes basically form a plan to stop him, which, and there's a very specific reason why they're going with this plan that they're doing.
Yeah, it is very comic book.
It's
science,
very comic booky, yeah.
But in kind of a really fun way where it's like, that's just how this universe works.
Just how it is. And it's supposed to be fun. We're supposed to have fun with it. So they come up with a very specific plan for how to deal with this. And it all, trust me, it all gets explained in here. Again, it's very comic booky. It's a little bit check your brain at the door, but they do explain why they're doing what they're doing. And what I can say, because this is public knowledge, is that part of this plan involves some of the Earth's heroes fighting each other, but it's not like, normally I don't like heroes versus heroes stories. I'm looking at you, Marvel, because, it's like, oh, go fight a villain, but this one, there's a reason why the heroes are fighting each other, because they are trying to build up Omega energy, which is what Darkseid is made of, basically. And they're trying to go, and they have to go all out. They can't hold back at all. And they're trying to fight each other to build up Omega energy so that think of it as like a ball of energy. It's not really that, but if you think about it like that, that energy will then be bestowed upon whoever wins this tournament. And then once that character has this energy, they will be able to take on Darkseid. They'll be as powerful and godlike as Darkseid currently is, and they'll be able to take on Darkseid and basically save the universe. So the heroes have, and again, that was a crazy oversimplification of everything. Basically, the heroes have 7 days to get themselves ready, get the world ready. They are planning backup plans in case this doesn't work, on how to evacuate the human race from the planet, that kind of thing. And then the tournament does not start in this issue, but it shows us how we get there.
Yeah.
And it shows us how we get to the 32 contestants that are going to be in this.
There is a kind of a round of like a preliminary round to get us down to that. So there is still action, and there's still kind of part of a contest in this.
Yeah. The actual like bracket gets formed in this, but they don't like start. And we've seen the pairings, but those pairings don't start fighting in this. But yeah, there's a lot of action in this as the contestants get in and the other ones get weeded out, that kind of thing. So that was a really like super high level overview. This book is oversized. I don't know how many pages it is, but it's much longer than just your typical 22 pages. So you get a lot of story in here. You get some big action. You get some quiet moments as they're preparing for all this, as they try to figure out even how to handle this in the first place. The artwork is great. The action is great. There's a couple funny moments involving a couple of the characters who don't make it into the tournament. It's just a good time. One thing I do want to say real quick, because I've heard some people talking about this online. I guess a couple of pages got leaked that show the heroes talking about rebooting the universe. And some people were thinking, oh gosh, DC's going to reboot again. I just want to go ahead and tell you now, this is not leading to another Universal reboot. No. The reason they're doing what they're doing is specifically to avoid a Universal reboot. So I just want to go ahead and put that out there. We're not getting another. This is not going to be another New 52 kind of thing when it's all said and done. Absolutely not. We were on a retailer call with some folks at DC a couple months ago, or about a month ago, I guess, and they said they had plans for everything that started with the dawn of DC. They have plans for that going into 2027 and even on to 2028. So no reboots, no resets, no nothing. I want to make that very, very clear right now, because people think that DC reboots every other month when really they've only done it 3 times in 87 years. But outside of that, this is awesome. I mean, it's very exciting. There are a couple of humongous surprises in here that are going to have people talking. There's one page in particular that people are going to freak out about. I can't wait. And people are going to be speculating and trying to figure this out. We'll talk more about that after it comes out. Everybody gets to read it.
Yeah, because we know a little bit more about that.
Yeah. They told us a little bit more about some of these things, because we got to read this about a month ago. And then again, it was nice seeing the actual book, though, because our digital preview copies are always a little bit off, But very fun. I absolutely love this. I can't wait to see who's going to win and all that stuff.
Yeah, and that's the fun thing, too, is, leading to this, everyone's like, oh, well, Superman's just going to clean the floor with this. But maybe Superman, I mean, this is about them building up Omega Energy, which is kind of the antithesis of Superman.
Yeah.
To build up Omega Energy, you kind of have to be cutthroat. You have to go all in. You've got to be...
all in.
Yeah, nice. Well, you've got to be very, not selfish, but you're fighting for yourself.
Yeah.
Superman can't help but help others.
Yeah.
So Superman in this may be a bigger hindrance than he is a help to everything going on, which I really like that angle. It's like Superman has such a hard time putting himself first when he sees other... because they're in a contest and others are competing, and he sees, something's about to happen to that person over there. I need to go help them. Yeah. It's like, no, you're actually impeding this program. And so that is, they said this is a Superman story, like how, like, Metal was a Batman story and Death Metal was a Wonder Woman story. This is a Superman story, even though there's a ton of other characters. But there's a reason why Superman is not just going to sweep the floor with everybody and come out on top in this. I would not bet on Superman, really, for this.
Yeah, I haven't filled out my bracket yet, but I don't think Superman's going to win this. And we've seen the brackets, obviously. We know that Superman gets in, but he has a harder time getting in than you might think, and not for the reason you might think either. So don't just think he's going to steamroll this, because, he's having a tough time with this. But, very, very cool. I cannot wait to read this. One thing that I want to mention, too, that they told us on the call, Joshua Williamson said very plainly and specifically, this is not a grim, dark event.
No.
This is supposed to be fun. Yes, there's big stakes and the universe is on the line, that kind of thing. But the main reason why they did this, why they created this event, is because they wanted us, the readers, to have fun with it and to talk about who do you think's going to win, and to see all these fights. We know we're getting the all fight month in December. They told us that about those books. There's going to be lots of action, lots of fighting. They said this is you're just supposed to have a good time with this. And that's what they want. That's the whole reason behind the whole
Yeah,
thing.
when a character defeats another character, they're not dead. They basically get like taken off the table.
Right.
There, you'll have to read to find out exactly what that all means. But you know, they know going into it that like, hey, we've got to be ruthless against each other, but they also know that they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Which I feel like allows a lot of them to open up a little bit and go like, fine then, let's go all in.
Yeah, yeah. So highest recommendation possible.
Yeah.
They said this event is gonna run through maybe like end of February, early March. I will be reading every single book that comes out for it. I'm so excited for this. I can't wait to see what comes after this, because our knowledge doesn't go very far past this first issue. So there's still lots for us to figure out too. So I think it's gonna be great though. And
get in on the ground floor for this.
Yeah.
Because once you hear about some of the stuff coming, once we start talking about the there's not a ton of tie-ins, but there is a little bit, like the Batman book. You'll want to know more about all of that once you read this.
And especially when word gets out about one of the pages in here specifically, everybody's going to want this issue.
Yep.
So, so don't miss out. Don't miss out on it. Go fill out your brackets. Let us know in the comments who you think will win.
Yeah.
I still haven't figured it out yet, but I'd love to know who everybody else thinks are going to win. All right, so there's our A cover right here, and this is an acetate cover. I mean, this is the A cover, which is crazy, but this is an acetate cover to where it's very hard to get.
Yeah, that's very staticky.
It's staticky, yeah. So that looks like that, but there's your fight right there, and that's just the A cover.
Yeah,
which is really cool. This is $5.99, but again, it's oversized. It's much longer. It's probably like 40 pages at least. So yeah, there you go. There's the A cover. Lots of variants for this. This is the Dan Mora fighter cover. That's the one that I pre-ordered. That's a wraparound too, to show you all 32 contestants. This is the Ben Oliver cover. Superman's got his Knuckles with miniature suns, which is crazy. This is the Daniel Warren Johnson cover.
That's the one people are talking about. Yep. Yeah, that's the one I got.
This is the Mark Spears cover with Darkseid.
Very Super Friends era Darkseid.
This is the Dan Mora Lobo. I don't remember that guy's name. AEW fans, let me know.
Yeah. They're doing a bunch of crossovers with AEW.
Yep. This is the Greg Capullo variant. We have this awesome Jim Lee Darkseid variant. We have this foil virgin version of what's underneath the acetate cover here. That's a foil cover that looks so good. And then we have another foil cover. Is this Scott Kobush, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yep, Scott Kobush, foil wraparound. Holy cow, big cover for that one. And then we have the 1 in 25 Nubovich cover that we're selling for $14.99. Yeah, like we said, a lot of comic booky stuff, a lot of high concept, but I don't care, man. Yeah. It's fun. And that's all I want out of a comic book. It's fun, and I can't wait to read more.
Yeah, the wrestler's Adam Page.
Hangman Adam Page. Okay, Thank you very much, user on TikTok.
Well, next up, we got to get into the other big book of the week. Actually, there's a bunch more, but we'll get into those. But this one, everybody is high on Absolute Batman right now, and for good reason.
At least so.
This is Absolute Batman number 13. This is, lovingly called the Catwoman issue. That we know we've been getting the Catwoman issue coming up, and it's really cool. So I thought going into it, we would get a lot of like flashbacks in this, but no, most of this takes place like Catwoman walks into the room. So there's still a lot of questions about their relationship, and since Selina has been referenced since I think issue 1 when they were like everybody's playing cards together, and they said Selina hasn't shown up. Well, clearly she's been busy, but in this she shows up, and at first it doesn't seem like Bruce and Selina are on good terms. They may be on better terms.
They may reconcile.
All night long. But it is really interesting because they are on, very different pages about this Bane situation that's going on. Catwoman does seem to know quite a bit about, Bane and some of the stuff that he is capable of doing. And she's there to basically say, I don't think you should, go through with any of this. Um, but there is something about Batman right now that I don't want to give away. But this is the issue before, I think, is maybe our last part of the Bane storyline.
Well, I think the next one is.
That's what I'm saying. This is the one before the.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Before the next issue, which will be the last one, and it does look like it's going to come down to a Batman Bane fight.
Slugfest. Yeah. Maybe.
How is that going to happen? We've already seen, Batman get pretty beat down by Bane. You'll have to read it to find out, but I think there is a lot of pieces in here that are being introduced that will come into play during that fight. Now, I don't want to talk about too much about this. Some things have already been spoiled online. Some things haven't. But there is some big spoilers in this issue that are very exciting for the book going forward. I have a lot of questions about Batman's current quality of life after everything that he went through with Bane. There is some surprise appearances in this. And just Catwoman seems really, really cool in this.
I really like this version of Catwoman. She's not super different from mainline Catwoman.
Not. She's very capable. And, we've been talking back and forth. Is this one of the Black Mask things she's wearing? You do maybe kind of find that out.
Maybe not. They at least bring it up.
They do bring it up. Yeah. But they have something better to do than talk about that. But this was really fun. It's hard to talk too much about it because there is a lot of story beats that are kind of the big driving factors in this. But we do also get some Alfred in here, and we get some other really cool stuff. There's still some fantastic action, and in particular, one page that is like a poster. Like it should be a fan of Absolute Batman and Catwoman poster.
It's an homage to something that you will recognize. Yeah.
Yes, and that whole scene is awesome. We've kind of theorized that maybe in the future we would get an Absolute Catwoman book.
That's my theory. I don't. It might end up being wrong, but I've been guessing that for a while.
They've said that there's probably another Absolute book coming that is set within the Batman corner, the Gotham corner.
That's right.
So that's why we kind of thought about this. But after reading this, I would be all for it. She is super cool, and looks like she's got a lot of her own story going on that we are just getting little hints of. So I can't wait for everyone to read Absolute Batman number 13. It's crazy, but I think the next issue is going to be incredible. If it goes down the way this looks like it's going down.
I mean, you guys know the drill with Absolute Batman at this point. Every issue has been phenomenal. And this is no different. This is just another stellar issue of Absolute Batman.
Yeah, Scott Snyder knows how to, in every issue, put some nuggets that are, the storyline is good, everything, but there's still even just fun, pieces that are building this world in every issue, and this is no exception for that. So, Absolute Batman just getting started. I feel like we are still barely past the prologue for what this is capable of doing, and expect the unexpected for sure. So this is our A cover with Absolute Catwoman. Very cool. I believe this is the one I got. This is the Art Germ cover, which is fantastic. We've got a foil version of that cover.
That's the one I got. Who doesn't love a foil cover?
And we have this 1 in 25 Nick Dragotta cover. And at first it looks a lot like the A cover until you realize you can see through her. Apparently she has some stealth abilities. And we are selling this one for $21.99.
All right. Well, welcome to the Age of Revelation portion of the show, because there are 5 different Age of Revelation books that come out this week, and we are going to go through all of them just to let you know what each one is about, which ones are the quote-unquote important ones, which ones are really just more like side stories and things like that. And we're going to start with Amazing X-Men #1 because when talking about which ones are like the, again, important or core books of this story, this one is definitely that. So there is not a main like Age of Revelation #1, #2, #3, nothing like that. It's not like Blood Hunt or something like that. Just like the original Age of Apocalypse, there wasn't a mainline book that are there for that event either. It was just all the other books. But it does seem like the main crux of this story is going to be told in here.
I feel like it's the spine.
Right.
It's the thing that's going to maybe do the most of the heavy lifting, and other things may kind of branch off of that.
That's what I think too, especially because this continues right from the Age of Revelation Overture book that came out last week. This is where that story picks up. So this is written by Jed MacKay. The art is by Mahmoud Asrar. And this was my favorite of the Age of Revelation books this week. I really, really like this one a lot. Cyclops and the remaining X-Men are on the run after their big fight with Wolverine in the Age of Revelation Overture one-shot last week. And they're trying to get to this machine that will teleport them to Philadelphia where they have some allies that are waiting for them. But that's easier said than done because Wolverine actually catches up to them. And we are treated to another really, really cool fight. But before that, though, there's a really cool scene between where Revelation and Wolverine interact with each other. Because if you saw in the Overture one shot, Wolverine is basically, he's basically a weapon for Revelation, but he's being controlled by Revelation. And there's a cool little scene where you see some really neat stuff there. And there's also a really cool conversation between Cyclops and Schwarzschild, who was the guy with the big black orb who can control gravity. And they have this really quick but interesting conversation that I think might give us a hint as to what the upcoming Cyclops solo series will be about when it comes out in January, when all of this is done. So more to come on that, but I think that we might get some hints there. That's pretty much it. They're on the run. They fight Wolverine again. Do they make it to their destination or do they not? You'll have to read it to find out. There's a very interesting ending that's going to lead into the next issue, which I can't wait to see more of that. But yeah, this is really, really good. I really like this a lot. Some of the other books are a little bit hit or miss, but this one for sure. If you want just the core story, I highly recommend picking this one up. And then all of these issues are only going to run 3 issues. You know, all these titles, because it only lasts till December. And then once January rolls around, Age of Revelation is over. But definitely this is the one that you want if you want the big main story, and it's really, really good. So we have our A cover right here. We have this. Did I write it? Did I not write these down?
Probably not.
Probably not. I don't have. Hawthorne, my bad. That's the Hawthorne cover right there. And this is the Sanford Green cover. And then this is the 1 in 25 German, is that German Peralta?
Yeah.
We're selling this one for $19.99. Nice X-Men #1 homage.
Yeah, so that is your, I would say, if you are trying to read the Age of Revelation, but with the minimal most books, that will be the one you will want to get. This one right here, yeah. And especially if you've read the Overture issue, because from what it seems, this is a one, it's a Revelation spotlight book about Doug Ramsey, but also Cyclops. Yeah. Cyclops looks like he's going to be playing a key role in this, and he does. This is where that happens. Yeah. Now, moving on, we have X-Men World of Revelation #1. This is a companion style book. Marvel has done this with a lot of events where there's a certain the one I mostly think of is during Avengers versus X-Men. They had the Versus books, and they were like, hey, we can't cover everything in the main book, so you want to see what some of the other characters are doing and how they fit into this. That is where this takes place. So this is a book of 3 stories by 3 different creative teams. I think each issue of this will be about that format, showing you some different characters.
I think this is a one-shot.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure there wasn't another one listed.
Okay, I thought there was maybe something else similar to this coming
out. There's Book of Revelation coming out, but that's not the same thing as this, I don't think.
Okay, so this one has 3 stories. The first one is called The Message by Al Ewing and Augustine Alicio. This one is very weird. This one is almost like reading a prose novel. There's a big image on like the inner side of the page, and then on the outer side of the page is a column with prose text. For the majority of it does switch into a regular comic book format later on, but in this we see a character. I won't say who it is because we don't know who it is, at least at the beginning, who receives a message.
I'll show you what it looks like, just so you. It looks like that right there.
Yeah.
Is how every page of this first story looks.
Yeah, so that's really interesting the way that is presented. But we see a character and they receive a message and they are trying to deliver this message somewhere. And it is throughout it that we kind of learn where they are and what this message is. All the while seeing some kind of familiar things or some familiar names crop up. But it's not to get to the end of the story that you realize the magnitude of what is going on when it is revealed who is behind this masked character that we see. I'll say that this one was a little hard for me to read. Like a lot of Al Ewing stuff, it's kind of heady. It's kind of
very high concept.
Flamboyant writing. With a lot of things, I'm like, I don't know, do I need to be writing this down, or am I good to just kind of like move past this term or this name or something and keep going?
Yeah, I wasn't super thrilled on this first story when I first started reading it. But by the time I got to the end, I was like, oh, wait a minute. That's really interesting. And I do wonder, will that maybe have some bearing on the main story at some point? But I don't know.
Right. Yeah. So where that ends, basically once it turns from that prose style to a comic style, which has about 3 pages at that point left in the story, that's when I was really on board with it. When I realized, when all the pieces came together, I go, oh, this feels like this could be something that is revisited later.
Yeah.
Maybe towards the outcome of this story. But I'll let you read that so you can see what that is. The second story is called Never Let Me Go by Steve Fox and Jesus Marino. And this one is about Wiccan and Hulkling, and it's a pretty tragic story, but it does give us a little bit of insight into what Revelation is capable of if you get on his bad side. And that one's pretty rough towards the end when it's just a lot. Yeah, it's rough. And then we have a story called Epoch of Revelation by Ryan North and Adam Solowski. And this is, as you can see on the cover, it's not a spoiler, it's Franklin Richards. So we are getting, he is off and on a mutant, whether they want to call him that or not.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing. But I'll tell you, he does not look like this in there. Much different. And in this, we see Franklin Richards trying to, in this Age of Revelation, preserve some of the previous generations' things, so future generations, if they survive this time, will have the building blocks to recreate society. And he's kind of stealing it from different places, and it's very simple things. It could be a chemistry book or whatever. But there is a kind of a guest character in there I was really happy to see.
Yeah.
And the ending of it was really interesting, where maybe you see if this storyline went on, if this was the status quo, what it would look like after all of this. So this was a interesting book. I wouldn't say any of it is must reads for the forwarding of the story, but if you do want to see some flavor of what this world is like and upping the stakes in other books, knowing what Revelation is capable of and what some of the other characters are going through, that's kind of why this exists, to give you more context to the overall world.
Yeah.
The only thing that could play a bigger role is the end of that first story. But as of right now, we don't know how that's going to come into play. But that is your World of Revelation #1. That is your A cover. We also have a Carlos Magno cover with a very zombified Fantastic Four. We have a Villa cover. And we have a, this is the Salvador LaRocca 1 in 25 we're selling for $19.99. It's interesting. A couple of those have zombie Fantastic Four on them because there's no zombie Fantastic Four in this.
We do find out what happened to the Fantastic
Yeah.
Four during the Age of Revelation, but it's not that.
It's not this. There's no
Yeah.
green Human Torch or anything.
No. All right, so the next one we have is Binary #1. This is from Stephanie Phillips, and the art is by Giada Belviso. And so this book takes the place of the solo Phoenix book that's been running for the last year or so. And when I first heard about this book, I wasn't sure if this was going to be, is this Jean Grey? Is it Carol Danvers? Is it somebody else? Like who is Binary in this? And I'll go ahead and tell you because it's on the front credits page. It's Carol Danvers.
Yeah.
That's not a spoiler. I don't know what I was thinking when I thought maybe it was somebody else. But it's Carol Danvers as Binary, who now has the powers of the Phoenix Force in this story. Because again, this is 10 years in the future. And the gist of this story is that Carol Danvers, who now is the wielder of the Phoenix Force, she is using the power of the Phoenix to keep her hometown in this sort of telekinetic bubble so that she can keep the X virus away from everybody in there. She's trying to keep everybody safe, but she's been keeping that up for years. And the people that are in that town, inside this big bubble, are starting to go a little bit stir crazy, starting to maybe get a little bit paranoid, and are starting to kind of think like, hey, maybe the X virus never existed in the first place, and maybe Carol Danvers is telepathically controlling all of us. So like some conspiracy theories are going on. Like they're starting to want out. But Carol knows if I let this thing down, the X virus is going to come in and it's going to maybe kill some people, mutate some people. So she's not really sure what to do. And to make matters worse, there's also this mysterious figure in town who wants to take her down, take down Carol Danvers. And the reveal of who that is very interesting. So I want to know more about that. And I want to know that the hows and the whys and things like that. So this actually was my second favorite book.
I would agree. Yeah.
This doesn't seem like it's going to inject much into the main story, but I actually still recommend it just because it's good. The artwork's really good. It's very interesting. So, I don't, if you didn't read this, I don't think you would be missing much from the main core story. But I still really liked it, and I would just recommend it.
Yeah, it's just a solid story.
Yeah, it's a good book. Yeah.
It definitely is like a story set within the world of the Age of Revelation. Not necessarily a Age of Revelation story, but that is a super interesting part of it too, because you're kind of seeing like, well, these are the effects of it and how different characters are interacting in this world. And I really liked this, and the art was good. I thought the story was really interesting, and you kind of feel bad for Carol that it's like she's really trying to do something good, and these people are kind of pushing back against that. And there's some interesting supporting characters. And I really like this one also.
Yeah, and it's not like, at the end she doesn't say, okay, I'm going to let down the bubble and I'm going to go kill Revelation. It's nothing like that. She is basically, and which is crazy because, you think, oh, she's got the powers of the Phoenix. She would be a great weapon to have against Revelation, but no, she's more concerned with just keeping her own town
I think
covered
she
up.
maybe even says, like, I can't do that because it would risk the town.
That's exactly right.
So I've got to stay here. Like, it would be good for me to go out there and do that, but I'm not going to sacrifice this town.
So not super critical to the main story, but still just a really good one. So I do recommend this one just because it's good. So this is the A cover right here, and we have this Mobley variant. You can see the Phoenix Force going after Carol Danvers right there. I really like that. We have this David Nakayama cover. I like how she looks in this too. And then this is the Ricky Yagawa variant. And we have the 1 in 25 Jeremy Wilson cover that we're selling for $19.99.
Well, next up, I've got Laura Kinney, Sabretooth?
What?
That can't be right. She's Wolverine. Well, things have changed in 10 years.
Yep.
This is written by Erica Schultz, and the art is by Valentina Pinti. And I also really like this one. This one was pretty close to Binary for how much I liked it. I do think maybe it's the concepts in it are a little bit, I don't know, not higher concept, but I had to do a little bit more digging to fully understand what this is, because I'm not fully caught up on the Laura Kinney Wolverine series, and I think maybe it does have elements of that in play. But things have happened in 10 years, and I'm going to try not to spoil too much, because I almost don't know what spoilers, because it could have been revealed within her previous series.
Right.
I'm not sure. But Laura is on the side of Revelation. That's, not really a spoiler. She's wearing the mantle of
Yeah.
Sabretooth, where the Wolverine, it kind of gives you a clue to, is she a bad guy? But
She's one of Revelation's, they call them seraphims,
yeah,
which is kind of like just like soldiers or, yeah, soldiers for Revelation.
yeah. But when you see like this side of it, she's in a community that's very happy and is functioning really well. But her enemies, quote unquote, are Gabby, who was a honey badger, and then I forgot what she's called.
Wasn't it Scout or
Scout.
something? Her sister, basically.
Yeah,
Isn't it clone sister or something? Yeah.
And Akihiro, who is Dakin or Dark Wolverine or Helverine.
And I will say that they do mention Helverine.
Yeah, there is an explanation for Helverine in here. But they are on opposing sides. But Laura meets with them in secret for a very interesting reason. There is something that she needs them, a special something that she needs them to get out of the Revelation territories. And this, I'm not sure if it's a spoiler or not, so I'm not gonna mention any of that.
I mentioned it in the video that I posted on TikTok earlier today, but I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have. I'm not sure, but
yeah, but it is really interesting, and I'm really interested to see how that plays out. But what happens if she is overseen, kind of fraternizing with the enemy? Yeah. It might not be good news for Laura Kinney. There is a lot of explanation that you actually understand why she took on the mantle of Sabretooth. And especially because in this world, Wolverine is not good. You know, like you even see her see Wolverine and be like, that's not him. Like, that's not the Logan I know. So yeah, it kind of makes sense why she wouldn't take up that mantle anymore. And we do learn why she is a Sabretooth in this. This is really interesting because there is a breadcrumb in here that is dropped in here and other books about the bigger story of what's going on within Revelation's kind of kingdom.
Yeah. And
is everything as smooth sailing as he might want you to think? We don't know, but this was really cool. I liked the art in it. One thing I do like about a lot of these books, it's X years later, so it is 10 years later. They do say 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's cool to see a lot of these characters older and more mature. Like, Laura Kinney is usually kind of a younger character. She's now an adult in this role. And
Gabby's usually like a young teenager, right? And she's grown up in this.
Yeah, so it's really cool to see a lot of these characters progress as well. But yeah, this one I thought was really fun. All of these I'm going to continue reading through them because I'm, now super interested in the stories. At least for now, these issue ones that I read have hit really well.
Yeah, they're off to a good start with this.
Yeah, so I don't know if this one's going to play a big role in the overall Age of Revelation story, but I also think if you're a fan of Laura Kinney or kind of the Wolverine corner of the Marvel Universe, you'll probably enjoy this one. Especially if you're reading the previous Laura Kinney Wolverine series, I feel like this is a natural progression for that. So we have our A cover right here, and I really like her costume too.
I like the way I like the way she looks in that. Yeah.
You get a good picture of her right here. This is the Riki Agawa cover.
It's like when this is all over. Hey, can we keep some elements?
Yeah, some of these elements actually really work. I love this Villalobos cover, and I like on there too. She looks older. She looks, like a maybe not in her 20s, but maybe in her 30s or something. We have a Dan Jurgens variant. We've got a Ramcharon variant. We've got a, this is the Nogi-san variant. This is a 1 in 25 per song for $19.99. And lastly, we've got a virgin version of that Villalobos cover. This is a 1 in 50. We're selling for $49.99.
Is that not Greg Lake?
Nope. That's Villalobos.
Oh, from the side, it looks like his screaming face. his patented screaming face. All right, so the last one... Oh, hold on, let me do this here. So the last one that we have for this week is Longshots #1. This is from Jerry Duggan and Jonathan Hickman, and the art is by Alan Robinson. And in the Age of Revelation, Mojo is not doing so well because ever since the X Virus was released, there are pretty much no more television networks. So they're basically surviving on like reruns. They're running reruns on in the Mojoverse basically. There's something called the power plant that has consolidated control of all of the industries worldwide, and that gives Mojo an idea for a new show where it features a group of characters who have bounties on their heads coming together to then go out and take down the power plant so that he can start putting his shows back on the air. So he calls on Hellcat, who in this time is the best bounty hunter on the planet. He wants her to put together these group of bounty hunters so that they can then go do what they got to do. And of course, they're going to make a whole like reality show out of it. And most of this issue is her doing that. She pulls together. I don't know if they're on the cover. She pulls together some characters like well, that's one of the covers. Rhino, Craven, Wonder Man, but also Bishop. You know, and they even say like it's a little bit fourth wall breaky where they say you do have to pull in some mutants. You know, but you know you can't just pull in your Avengers buddies. But yeah, so most of this first issue is her bringing those characters together, and I'm assuming the next one will be them going out to do what they have to do. This probably was my least favorite of the five of them, and this probably is the one that feeds into the main story the least. Like, it doesn't seem like it feeds into the main story at all, unless it comes back around in issue 3 where they take down Revelation, or maybe he's at the power plant. I don't know. But for right now, this one does seem like it's just taking place off to the side in the Age of Revelation storyline. But Mojo's always fun.
Yeah.
You know, the shenanigans in the Mojo verse. We do see Longshot in here, which is always a good time. I don't know when the last time we saw him was. So if you like Longshot or Mojo or Hellcat or any of those guys, I would recommend picking this one up. So this is our A cover right here. And then we have this Ron Lim cover with Hellcat. We have this Ken Lashley version. This does not happen in the book. This is the Baldion, and you can see some of the characters that she pulls together there. And then this is the 1 in 25 Yoon cover that we're selling for $19.99.
And you'd mentioned this one is a little bit sillier, a little bit more comedy.
Yeah, it feels a little bit strange because, you know, Age of Revelation, this story is like, oh, it's big and heavy. And then this one's kind of a little bit silly, so it kind of feels a little bit out of place, but that's sort of what Mojo's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, it kind of works.
Well, next up, another big one this week. It feels like any one of these that we talked about could have been the #1 book we talked about. So this is Amazing Spider-Man Torn. It's a new miniseries from J. Michael Straczynski and Pere Perez. And this is kind of one of our retro style series. This takes place back in early days of Spider-Man, or at least his college years,
Right.
which is kind of one of the highlights of Spider-Man books.
It's one of my favorite eras of Spider-Man, like that nice 70s era where he's in college and having a good, it's great.
Yeah, you've got his full cast of characters here that are really fun. So a lot of this is about, you know, we see the like, oh, he's in class, but he's falling asleep because he's too busy being Spider-Man. We've got a great opening scene with him fighting Sandman and his crazy scheme to take down Sandman.
Yeah, that was a cool sequence.
You get his kind of unrequited love for Gwen Stacy, but also maybe that Mary Jane girl you should ask out.
Mhm.
That kind of era of it. So that's really fun. I like this this a little bit more innocent time for Spider-Man before. I feel like with the death of Gwen Stacy, it took a big turn.
Yeah.
And suddenly Spider-Man, like, it all got real for him.
Mhm.
This is right before that. So a lot of these Spider-Man parts of this feel like that era of Spider-Man. It's, trying to get to school on time, trying to balance relationships, and he kind of likes Gwen, but also Mary Jane is there. A great scene on a beach between him and Gwen and Mary Jane and Harry Osborn talking about their futures. It's so that part is really fun and it feels really classic. But there's also another side of the story where we meet a character named Evangeline, and she is at the same school that Peter goes to, or she's visiting that one because there's something in the library there that she's interested in checking out. There is a kind of a grimoire or a spell book that's behind glass that she asks the librarian a lot of questions about. Clearly, she's trying to get this book. Like,
Yeah.
she pushes a little far where I think the librarian should have been like, hey,
Yeah.
like
You need to back off.
she's like,
Yeah.
and who has the keys to
Yeah.
it? It's like, okay, that's a bit much.
How thick is the glasses behind? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. I'm
Yeah.
a fan.
Curious.
But maybe this heist backfires on Evangeline, and that's going to set up a lot of the story because the Spider-Man story and the Evangeline story do cross at the end, and that going forward. So I'm not sure exactly the Spider-Man torn. I think this is plays on his decisions at this point in his life. He's torn in different directions between Peter and Spider-Man, between Mary Jane and Gwen, and in a lot of ways, Spider-Man is very torn at this point in his life. And that's what this is going to be exploring is this very pivotal moment in Peter Parker's life where decisions have to be made. I really like this. I thought it was really fun. It's great to be in a very classic era of Spider-Man where he is web swinging, he's quipping, he's in college, so he's surrounded by friends. I feel like that's a thing we don't get a whole lot.
Yeah.
Is this support group not just for Spider-Man but for Peter Parker as well. That's all just really, really fun. And this does have the first appearance of this Evangeline character that seems to be the antagonist for this series going forward. But if you're a fan of classic Spider-Man stories, if you've been yearning for something like that, some classic web swinging and some familiar faces, this is a great book for that. So we've got our A cover here by Adam Hughes, which I love that one.
Oh, is that Adam Hughes?
Yeah, that's Adam Hughes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can even see his signature is kind of hidden up here.
Yeah, nice.
Which he only does, I think, the A cover for this first issue.
Oh,
Usually
okay.
they kind of keep those
Yeah.
on, but so here is the Pere Perez. You kind of get that idea of torn, these pages in his life that are all torn apart. Here is the Pere Perez concept art variant, and you see maybe what happens to Evangeline there. Not so hot for her. We've also got this Mark Bagley cover with some of your supporting cast. And we've got a Lee Garbett foil variant, a spot foil. It's really nice. I think people just love this era of Spider-Man, drawing him and being in that world. Everyone remembers when he was Miss Piggy.
Right.
So we're around.
Yep.
This is the Muppets 70th anniversary variant. I love this one.
There's a Muppets cover coming later that's the best cover ever created ever in comics.
This one is by Javier Guerin. We've got our blank sketch cover.
They tore the cover off.
Yeah. We've got an Aaron Cooter cover. And lastly, we have a 1 in 25 Chirello cover that we're selling for $11.99.
Okay, next up, we've got a new one, Marvel Knights The Punisher. So not to be confused with the Punisher Red Band series that takes place in current Marvel 616 continuity. There's only been one issue of that. This is actually set in the continuity of the world to come. So this is written by Jimmy Palmiotti. The art is by Dan Panosian, and the lettering is from our buddies Richard Sarkings and Tyler Smith. So this is set in the same continuity as the World to Come series. And this one specifically takes place 25 years before the World to Come, which I still don't really know what that means. We've seen that in the other book where 8 years before the World to
No
Come.
one's declared that this is the world.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. I don't know I want to see what year 0 of the World to Come is, because that to me is like whatever happens, it happens in year 0, but we haven't seen that yet. So this is 25 years before all that. And while this does take place in that same continuity, and let's not concern ourselves with what Earth is this on, multiverse this, multiverse that. Forget about all that stuff. But it is in this same continuity, the same timeline, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't connect to the other book at all. Like, this is a Punisher book, and it's only the Punisher book. There's no mention of Black Panther. There's no mention of Wakanda or anything like that. But in the solicitation for issue number 3, that makes me think that maybe there will eventually be some connective tissue with the other World to Come book, but I don't know for sure, but I'm just guessing. In this issue, which seems to be set in the near future, because Frank Castle's a little bit older, he's got like some gray temples, so it's not like far in the future, but it's not now. um, the Punisher is going after a crime boss named Armando Malero, whose men are selling a new drug called Zombie or just Z, which seems to make people who take it highly susceptible to suggestion. Like their eyes turn yellow, and we even see one guy gets a dose of it, and then somebody else whispers something into his ear for him to do, and it's something he definitely would not have done on his own, you know. Punisher does eventually track down Malero, but to get to him, the Punisher is going to have to fight his number one henchman. He's a big, strong brute named El Zombie who is under who is under the effects of the zombie drug. The guy Malero keeps him dosed up with this drug so that he can basically mind control him, for lack of a better term. It's a brutal fight between Punisher and El Zombie, and I'm not going to tell you the outcome of that, but there's a lot that happens after the fight that's really interesting. And the end of the issue is very crazy. And I saw it, I was like, whoa, how are they going to come back from that one? But yeah, this was really cool. Like I said, it's set in the continuity of the world to come, but it seems, for now anyway, it seems like a pretty standard Punisher story of him trying to track down a mob boss or a crime lord and going through some other lower level goons to get to him. He's shooting people and there's violence and stuff like that. And of course, the artwork, it looks great. It's violent. There's lots of action. It's exactly what you want in a Punisher book. So if you're a Punisher fan, you like the other Punisher book, but you want even more, check this out, because for now, it's just a pretty straight up Punisher book. You don't need to have read the other one to read this one. It's just the Punisher. So there's our A cover right there, and we have this nice Harvey variant, and that's Punisher in this book, and that looks like that's old school Punisher. Not really sure why there's two of them. There's not two in this book, but I guess maybe they just wanted to show before and after or something like that.
You're playing the game and player 2 comes in.
That's right, yeah.
That's the player 2 character.
That's right. This is the David Marquez variant. You can see he's kind of got the white temples. He's a little bit older. And then this is the 1 in 25. Shoot, I didn't get the artist on this one. I don't know whose signature that is. But this is the 1 in 25 variant that we're selling for $24.99.
Well, next up, I've got one that I really enjoyed. This is Harley Quinn X Elvira #1. This is a new collaboration between DC Comics and Dynamite Comics by one of my favorite creative teams that's ever worked on Harley. This is Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Conner. This time, the art is handled partly by Amanda Conner, which it's not often we get Amanda Conner interiors anymore, and Juan Samu, which does a phenomenal job on this. This very much feels like their era of working on Harley Quinn. She's living on Coney Island. She's got her group of friends. There's she's got her beaver. She's got Red Tools there. I forgot what the old man's name is. I just had it, but the old man's there. The Harleys that are like people who dress up like her as well.
Mm-hmm.
All those characters are there. And it's really funny because in this, Harley is really sad about last Halloween. Last Halloween, she got horribly sick, and you do see she mentioned she was painting the walls and not in a good way.
Oh.
And she missed out on the big Halloween party. So for Harley, this is devastating. She's been thinking about it all year. But this year, she's going to reconcile that and throw the biggest Halloween block party of all time. And she has a plan. Elvira's going to be at it, except she hasn't asked her yet. She just kind of assumes that she can get her to be there. So that whole part of it is really, really fun. Going between the art styles work together, but especially just seeing the Amanda Conner stuff is so much fun. But the other storyline that's going on is Elvira, who has her hosting job. She's, introducing movies and all of that. But her show is getting canceled and she's going off the air. She feels bad for all the production people that work with her. But she's got to figure out some way to pay the bills. And just so happens, Harley runs into Elvira and has a deal that she can make with him. Harley says, I'll give you lodging. I'll pay this amount of money every day. Even though all the people around Harley are like, how are you going to afford any of this? But Elvira's down for it, so they're going to throw the biggest Halloween party and just be a lot of fun. That's what this book is. It's Halloween. It's fun. It's great to see these characters interact. It's so it's over the top Harley, but not in an annoying way. She's got a ton of funny little witticisms and observations and stuff, but it at no point felt like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
move on from this.
Right.
I really enjoyed this. I don't want to say more than I thought I would, but I was so pleasantly surprised when I finished it that just how good of a run it was. That I'm really excited for the next issue. I don't remember how many issues it's going to be, but this is a perfect book for Halloween. And if you're a Harley fan, you're going to love it because this feels like that phenomenal Amanda Conner, Jimmy Palmiotti run. It feels like this could have been something that took place right in the middle of that. And if you're an Elvira fan, this is probably one of the best books she's appeared in a while. So don't
Is
miss
this
out.
published by Dynamite or DC?
I actually believe this is Dynamite. The ads in it are all for Dynamite books.
Gotcha.
So there's an ad for like Supernatural and that kind of thing in here. But it feels like the DC Harley Quinn. So don't miss out on this. Don't sleep on this because it was a blast. Just a great addition to your reading in Halloween season. And there are variants for it, but I just have this cover right here, which is by Amanda Conner.
Well, I'm going to stick with the World to Come continuity because we finally have the World to Come number 3. Number 2 came out back in July, so it has been a good minute since we've had this story. And I wasn't super high on the horse with this story when the first issue came out, but I am completely on board now. I think it's really, really cool, really interesting. I have questions. I can't wait to find out about mysteries and stuff. So most of this issue focuses on T'Challa when he was a boy. T'Chaka takes him to Harlem to stay with his cleric Odinayo in one of his secret temples, which is actually kind of like just they lift like basement door, like on the street, where you can lift doors, you can walk down sort of underneath the street, and the windows are at the street level. Kind of takes him down into this place here, and he takes him there as a way to test T'Challa, and I'm not really sure how long T'Challa stays there, but it seems like a while. Seems like it actually might be a few years. I'm not 100% sure though. So a lot of the book is about that. It's about T'Challa in Harlem as a young boy doing tasks and being disciplined and that kind of thing. But we also see adult T'Challa do the same thing with his son Katama when he was about the same age. Maybe like, I don't know, 12, 11, something like that. And their experiences, like Katama's experiences, are very similar to T'Challa's experiences, but there are also some very stark differences as well. And it sort of informs the type of man that they each grow up to be. Similar, but they go on different paths. If you've been reading this, you know what I'm talking about. So, also in this, outside of all that, we see Katama get installed as the new king of Wakanda, which is something that they've been sort of showcasing over the last couple issues. And that's going to eventually lead to whatever event this book is centered around. Again, like whatever year zero of the World to Come is, I guess this is going to lead to that, because he gets installed as the king of Wakanda 8 years before the World to Come. So I don't know what that means. Hopefully we find out at some point. I will say, just like the last issue, if you're confused about what's going on in the timeline of events, in the back there is a chronological timeline. There's like a small column of events that actually lays it out chronologically, and if you read that, it'll help understand a lot. It talks about some of what happens in here, but also some things that don't happen in here. But that just helps make sense of everything. But yeah, I didn't like this after the first issue, but now I'm fully on board. I think it's wildly interesting. There is an appearance, not a first appearance, but there is an appearance of another character in this very briefly, but they're in there, and the covers for the next one make it look like maybe a lot more characters are going to pop up. I don't know. But it's really cool. I'm really digging this a lot. So finally, after several months, number 3 is out. And I think the rest of them are scheduled monthly, but who knows if there's going to be delays or not. So there's our A cover right there. And we have this really nice J. Scott Campbell cover. We have this Allen cover right here. And then we have this, this is a 1 in 25 Greg Land variant that we're selling for $19.99.
Well, I have a new book that I thoroughly enjoyed. This is
Yeah.
Deluge #1. This is our next book by Ignition Press. They're cranking them out about one a week, at least for this first, run of books,
Yeah.
and they have all been fantastic. And this one is no exception. This is by Cullen Bunn and Marika Cresta. You may have seen the little ash cans versions of this that cover the first few pages. But before getting to the story, I'll say I thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought it was a interesting read, a easy read, not because there was any lack of dialogue or anything, but I just it was, I wasn't questioning anything. I was just
Yeah.
along for the ride.
It's pretty simple, but in a good way,
Yeah.
you know? In
And
a good way.
it had some pretty big twists and turns that I have not seen in a book in a while.
Yeah.
So in this, it takes place in Sevierville, Missouri in 1993 at a penitentiary there, at all women's penitentiary, and they're the only farming prison in the state. So the inmates go outside and they farm and they plant seeds and they do all that. We meet our cast of characters, and we mostly meet them through the eyes of the new nurse that's coming in. Her name is Nurse Fisher, and she's basically being walked into the common area as the warden, I guess, is telling her about some of the key inmates there, and about they may act a certain way, but this is why they're in here, or this person's known as this because of something, but don't trust this person even though they may come to you crying and doing all this. And it's definitely like Nurse Fisher is ready for the job, but also a little overwhelmed because it's immediately people are kind of barking at her. But one night it begins to rain, and they mentioned like this is a man, it's really coming down, and it's even starting to drip through the ceiling.
Yeah, it begins to rain and rain
Yeah.
and rain and rain.
So much so that I mean, and it's not just straight on; it's the whole area, and they start talking about like you see news reports and like houses and stuff are starting to get flooded, and where this penitentiary is built is on a floodplain, and there's a levee, and that levee breaks, and when the levee breaks, you got no place to go. So the water rushes in, and suddenly this penitentiary is starting to fill up at least to like ankle length and more and more. Um, there is some little bit closer in stories about some of the inmates in there, and some maybe stuff that one has a dream about something that's really weird, and I won't get too much into that because we don't know a whole lot about it yet, but they start looking for we need to evacuate, but it's going to be really hard because they say maybe we waited too late to get everybody out of here. And as they start to do that, maybe there's something else in that water that is rising up than just inmates. Maybe it's something a little scarier. And that leads me to a lot of questions about how is this possible, where some things are coming from. But
I was reading this, and it's like, oh shoot, the prison's flooding, and they got to get the prisoners out, and oh, what are they gonna do? And then you turn the page, and the book just takes a complete left turn. It's like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
What just happened?
There's little hints of it at the beginning.
Yep.
But by the end of it, I mean, I was like, well, I gotta have the next one because I have so many questions, but in a good way, not in a I'm confused way, in a like I am so interested.
I need the next part right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was awesome. Don't sleep on these Ignition books. We have Murder Podcast. We have Voyeur. We've got Deluge now. We've got.
There's another one coming. I don't remember the name of it. That we have the ash can for it.
Yeah, I keep wanting to call the other one Bitter Roots. It's not that,
No, it's not
but
that.
it's the one about the girl and the plants and all of that.
Yeah.
I have liked every one of these, and they all feel fresh, and they all feel so like so much love and passion went into them that it shows while you're reading it. So I highly recommend this book. I highly recommend all of the Ignition Press books that have come out so far, and I can't wait for the next one. So again,
and they're really good quality, like physical books too. Like the covers feel nice, like nice pages. Like physically, they're great books too.
Yeah, these are great, and I am so excited for what's to come with these.
Oh, I forgot about have these little numbers.
Yeah, they've got some of these numbers on the back that you enter in on their website or something.
It says at the bottom, it says unlock your story, ignitionpress.com, and there's like little numbers, and they're all individual. This is 3409. I don't know what that one is, but yeah, I don't know what that's all about.
But yeah, super cool. We've got this great Riley Rossmo A cover.
Oh, is that who did that?
Yeah.
Nice.
So you've got big names on here. Like I said, Cullen Bunn, one of my favorite writers, killing it on this. So there is your A cover. We have this variant cover by your interior artist, Marika Cresta, which is fantastic interior art. I loved it. And we also have a 1 in 5 James Stokoe variant. We're selling for $7.99. So if people are always like, oh, what's a good indie book or whatever, so far all of these have been phenomenal. And, just because it doesn't say Image on it or Boom, check it out. Because these are accomplished writers and artists working on these, doing some great work.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So, I've got a new one from Dark Horse. This is called The Guy in the Chair. This is written by Hannah Rose May and Utkarsh Ambudkar, and the art is by Guillermo Sana. And this is about a guy, this guy right here on the cover. His name is Abhi, whose code name is Gatsby. And he is an operator, or guy in the chair, for a secret agent named Merlin. And I think about it like a Black Widow type character, And they work for this organization called the Observatory, and that organization has a lot of agent operator combos where they have like secret agents out in the field, and they each one have their own specific guy in the chair that helps them out. So this book follows Gatsby and Merlin, and they're the best ones. There's even like a scoreboard where it says Gatsby and Merlin have completed 106 successful missions, and then the number 2 team is a few missions behind them on that. So they're really, really good at their job. And also, Gatsby is pretty much in love with Merlin, but operators and agents are strictly forbidden from ever meeting each other. That's like a strict policy of this organization that they work for. So throughout this book, we see them tackle a couple missions together. We see Gatsby's like daily life, and it's cool because it's almost like Big Bang Theory, like when the nerds all went to eat lunch together. It's kind of like a bunch of the operators eat lunch together, and they're talking about the different missions, and they're like, I can't believe you botched that mission where they were trying to get the virus or whatever. So they all the operators work together. But one day the higher ups, one day. There's a heightened security presence at the observatory. It's like, why are all this, there's extra commotion. Why are all these extra security guards around, that kind of thing? And the higher ups pull Gatsby aside and they tell him that Merlin went on a secret mission over the weekend without him, and she was killed. And he's like, there's no way that she would have gone on a mission without me. I'm her designated operator. And they're like, sorry, kid, we don't know what to tell you. She went on a mission and she's dead now. And, he's not buying it. He's like, there's no way she would have done this without me. I'm not buying it. Now, it is not a spoiler to tell you this, that she actually isn't dead. She actually comes to Gatsby's apartment, and that's not a spoiler, I promise you, because that's what the whole premise of this story is about. Is the real question is, what is going on? Why is Gatsby being told that Merlin is dead? Why are they trying to make it look like she is? Why is she running from them? Who is she on the run from? That kind of thing. That's the story. So, they were forbidden from ever meeting each other, and now it looks like they might be going on the run together from whoever it is that's trying to frame them or capture them or whatever it is that they're trying to do. We don't know yet, but it's really cool. So, if you like spy espionage stuff, but then they have to turn on the organization they're working for, that kind of thing, then this is a good one to get. And this is the only cover we have.
Well, this would have been our number 1 book, but there's so many things this week. We have Transformers number 25. This is the big handoff issue from Daniel Warren Johnson and Jorge Corona to Robert Kirkman and Dan Mora taking over the Transformers book. And what a kickoff issue this is. I'll begin by saying I do believe this could be a jumping on point. They do catch you up on a lot that's been going on so far, but if you read the previous one, you'll definitely want to continue. But yeah, I hadn't read the last couple of issues, and I did not have too bad of a job fitting right back into this.
Yeah, I'm 7 issues behind on this, and I still read this and wasn't very lost. They referenced some things that happened in the last few issues, and for now, I'm like, okay, that's a thing that happened, and I need to go back and read that
Yeah.
at some point. But all of that stuff doesn't really inform what comes next.
Yeah, so this does begin with a pretty awesome action scene and all of that, and with Megatron, who is pretty disappointed in all his Decepticons. He literally calls out every one of them
By name.
and tells them how they failed in a 2-page spread. This really funny.
He all but calls them by their middle names too. Like Starscream, Jay, Thundercracker.
Yeah, so that part is great. But the main part of this is post all the destruction from the previous issue, the big fight. You have Optimus Prime, who is helping the humans there and everything clean up. And that's why they kind of note, like, I think you're the good guys because the bad guys don't stick around and help clean up, and you are. And Optimus has a nice moment with a kid that's there that's basically like, I can tell you're the good guys. But he is approached by a general type character that we don't know, but has the the reflective sunglasses and the full fatigues and everything, and basically says like, basically the same thing. We can tell you're on our side, and we actually really need your help because we've got all this domestic stuff taken care of, but we are not prepared for basically what you are, extraterrestrial threats. And we would love to help you out as long as you're just there to watch out for us.
And that's exactly what Tony Stark says in Avengers: Age of Ultron. He's like, we can take out drug runners and stuff all the live long day, but what's up there? That's when he says that's the end game. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. So a lot of this is that, and when Optimus is kind of tentatively like, that sounds good for right now. This general says that I have some stuff to show you, and that's where the book really starts heating up as they go down in a very long elevator, miles under the ground, and stuff is revealed to Optimus here that is definitely feels like the Kirkman side of this that is revealing, hey, a lot of this is going to be what my story is about. I'll say there are big surprises. There's big reveals.
There's one that I was very excited for. I don't think you were as excited as I was, but I was like,
"Oh my gosh!" I had to do a little research on what it was, but this is a awesome setup for stories to come, and I'm really interested. The Dan Mora art in this is phenomenal. It is very different than the Jorge Corona or the Daniel Warren Johnson stuff, but he brings his own flavor to this as well, and it's a little less chaotic. And it's a little bit more sleek, but it still has the cool transformations, all of that.
They still all 3-4 artists that have worked on this so far, they've all drawn at least 1 or 2 panels where the Transformers are in mid-transformation, where you see their heads coming up out of their bodies.
Optimus Prime has one part where his head is like backwards in
his body.
So I love all of that, but it is a really cool setup for the next however long run that Robert Kirkman's going to have on Transformers, and I'm all in for it. I think this feels just as good as the previous stuff, and just as exciting going forward, especially with some of the big reveals in this issue. So don't miss out on it. If you've been reading it, continue to read it. If you haven't, consider this a place where you can jump on. They've got also the trades have come out. They're doing the deluxe editions, and you can catch up right to here very soon. So this is our A cover. This is the only one I have right now, but there are some more on the website.
All right, I have got Marvel. Wait, what? Oh yeah, Marvel. I was gonna say Marvel Zombies. No, this is Marvel Black, White, and Blood and Guts, because Black, White, and Blood. We've done it. That it's we're too desensitized. We got to throw some guts in there as well. So, but this is like the Black, White, and Blood books. I don't really know why to say in guts. There's not really any difference. So just
You
like
opened it and it just was wet and,
yeah, it's like
chunks fell
yeah.
out.
So just like all the other black, white, and blood books, there's three different short one and done stories. They're all black and white with red accents for blood and other things like that. The first story is called The Trail. It's from Al Ewing and Kev Walker. And in this story, there's a new smart device, like an Apple Watch kind of thing, that tracks your health and actually rewards you, gives you prizes and stuff for being healthy. And one of the bigger rewards for the most healthy people is a trip to this big fancy island. But there's something on that island that may very well be that may be very interested in those healthy individuals. Like they're interested in the healthiest of the healthy. And to give you a hint, it's something that Blade has come to the island to deal with. So that's one story. There's a story called Traffic from G. Willow Wilson and Devmalia Promenick, who is the artist on Moon Knight right now. And it's about this young vampire girl who pays Blade. So there's two Blade stories in this. She pays Blade to get her out of the city and away from these other vampires who are chasing her. But maybe she's not who she says she is, and it may be sort of like a double cross kind of thing. And then the last story is called The Price of Iron. It's from Chris Condon and Claire Rowe. I like this story because in this story in particular, Iron Man is dead. He was killed when an evil wizard cursed the armor that he was wearing at the time, and they say it basically ate him. Like it ate him. He was on the inside, and it ate him from the inside out. And years later, there are these two teenage boys who know where that armor is, where that cursed armor is, and they try to steal it. And maybe that's not such a good idea. And we'll just leave it at that. So yeah, just a perfect time of year. I don't know how many issues this is going to run, but this is a good time of year to read these kinds of stories because it's spooky season, right? So three stories, black, white, and red, and gutsy, and whatever. So this is your A cover right here. None of these characters are in the book. This is your Greg Land cover. Only Blade is in the book. None of the others. Paul Revere is not in the book there. Here is another Derek Chew Blade cover. This is the Kasara variant. I really like that cover, but this doesn't happen in the book. But
there's no X-Men Halloween party.
There's no, yeah, but there should be. That needs to be a book.
Is that Apocalypse coming down the stairs, or is that?
Yeah, Apocalypse
as a mummy.
As a mummy, yeah.
That's fitting.
You could look at this cover for a while. There's a lot of good stuff in there. And then this matches the book much more. This is the Philip Tan 1 in 25 that we're selling for $19.99. That's much more representative of what this issue's like.
Next up, I have a really cool book that I think a lot of people are going to be interested in. This is the Disavowed #1. This is by Josh Blaylock and Pop Mon, who I love his stuff. He worked a lot on the Master Universe books for DC. This is the elevator pitch. What if G.I. Joe was a black label title or a mature title? I know they said it's like G.I. Joe and The Boys. I didn't get as much The Boys, at least in this first issue.
It's not that extreme.
It's not that extreme, and it's not that, I don't know, like, hating on comics and all that angsty or anything. But this is like, hey, this is a little bit more realistic version of what G.I. Joe would be like. In this, we meet a young boy named Matthew Hauser, and he is exploring. His father is gone, presumably has died, and he's kind of snooping around in the house until he discovers a laser weapon there, and that's where we kind of kick off the backstory on who his father was. His father is basically Duke. Like, if you think of it as Duke, his name is Dane, and he is.
So they're not trying to hide.
No, this is very on the nose, but in a very fun way. So we see back to in the 80s this final mission that he went on with his team. They're called the something 5. Thought I wrote it down. But the United 5 is basically what G.I. Joe is in this. And they're all storming what would be a Cobra base, but in this they're called Komodo. And you've got all these characters there that you can clearly tell are like, could easily be G.I. Joe characters. There's a character named Blue Sky who has like wings on his back. He's like personal little jet. Peaches, who's kind of like Scarlet. We have one called Stormy. There's a ninja character named Mantis who plays a big role in this. And they're all going to attack Komodo's leader, who is called Lord Anon, who looks a lot like Magneto in this. He's got like a very like
the helmet looks exactly like
Magneto like Onslaught or something helmet. But for one, their attacks and stuff are way more violent than they are in regular G.I. Joe. But when they get in there, maybe it's not as straightforward as they thought, as they learn some information that we don't see, but one of the members sees that changes how they act in a situation. I'll leave it at that. But what a lot of this is going to be is our character Matthew later on in life grows up and wants to learn more about his father, so he joins the military and he wants to become part of this unit. And that's kind of where they leave it off. But I know going forward, they mentioned like maybe that the United Five maybe were the bad guys. That's not brought up in here, but I think the solicitation kind of talk about that. Maybe things weren't as good as they thought. And I'm looking forward to learning about that going forward. But this is really fun if you know GI Joe, if you like GI Joe, seeing the this version of them. So there's like a group kind of like the Dreadnoks, but they're called the Outbackers, led by Tasmania. Just a lot of fun. There is a Storm Shadow to the Mantis, who is like Snake Eyes in here. But imagine if their swords actually cut, and I'll leave it at that. But
probably not going to see any fighter pilots parachuting out of exploding planes in this one.
I think they all forgot their parachutes. But there's also at the end a very fun like little PSA, like GI Joe would do, but this time much more mature. But this was really fun. I really liked this first issue. It definitely felt like a GI Joe book, but turned up. And yeah, I wouldn't say it's as raw as the boys.
But it's definitely more adult than G.I. Joe, though.
Exactly. Yeah. And more bloody and stuff than like even the Energon Universe G.I. Joe. So I thought this was really fun. Here is your A cover by Michael Golden. So you've got definitely a nod to G.I. Joe there. And I don't have any here, but there are some variant covers that are fantastic. Check the website to see them all.
All right, I've got another new book. This one's from Boom. This is called Marian Heretic. This is the first issue. It's written by Teenie Howard. The art is by Joe Jarrow. And it's about this woman here. Her name's Marian. And as I'm going through this, just think like warrior nun vibes. Like this is like a warrior nun kind of thing. Marian was part of a coven who worshipped a goddess over a god. And the church found out, and their crusaders burst in, and they forced Marian to start working for them, hunting down witches in exchange for them not punishing all of the other sisters in her coven. They even said, there's a lot of witches out there, and we have a lot of crusaders, and they're all these big barrel-chested men, but they can't go after the witches. We need a woman to do it. So that's what she's going to do. She hunts down witches for them, and she does reluctantly accept that, but an encounter with the latest witch that she goes out to hunt may change everything that she believes. That witch may make her see things in a different light, and she's going to go from there. The great artwork in this, though, there's some cool action. She's got this cool like staff with like I don't know if it's on the cover here, this kind of thing, but like it's really neat. I like the artwork and the action. So so definitely if you're looking for something different, like a warrior nun kind of thing, this is the book for you. This is our A cover right here, and we have this Rose Besh. No, I'm sorry, Jenny Frison. I don't know why I said that. Jenny Frison cover right here.
Next up, a one-shot from Marvel. This is Return to Planet Hulk. I guess this is kind of celebrating. Is this celebrating an anniversary? Yeah, 20 years.
Okay, that's
of Planet Hulk, and this is really fun, but definitely means more if you've read the Planet Hulk series from before, from 20 years ago. This is by the writer of that, Greg Pak, and the art is by Carlos Pagulayan, who both worked on that back in the day. One of my favorite Hulk stories, and what so much has come from that. Characters and Thor Ragnarok is based a lot on that. But this is kind of a just one-shot story that takes place in that time frame. The story of Hulk coming to terms with the different titles that he has been bestowed with, even though he doesn't want them. They call him Sakaar Sun, World Breaker, Greenskin, Green Scar. But to him, he just wants to be the Hulk. But he might actually be the leader they need in this world. And I thought this was really fun. I love this era, and it was great to revisit it. Of course, you've got characters like Korg that first came from here, Meek, all of those.
Yeah.
Meek, very different than what he's like in the movies.
Yeah.
But really fun. And yeah, this could be, if they did a big omnibus of Planet Hulk, could easily be added to that, because it feels like no time has passed when you read it.
Yeah, but like you said, I don't recommend reading this if you haven't read Planet Hulk, because you'll be way confused. I mean, they talk about all kinds of stuff that happened in that. So
yeah, but for those who have and love it, welcome back. This is just a one-shot, but a well-welcomed one.
And for those who haven't read Planet Hulk, what are you doing?
Yeah,
read Planet Hulk.
It's fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah, it's great.
One of the best Hulk stories in the modern era,
Yeah.
if we still consider 20 years ago modern. So there is your A cover for that. We've got the Parator variant with Gladiator Hulk, which, I mean, we're getting Planet She-Hulk coming up, so it's still kind of timely. And I love this one. This is the Lionel Francis U cover. This is just all action.
Yeah. All right, I've got Spider-Man 94, number 2. And pretty much this entire issue is one big battle in the street. And it's really cool because first, the first battle is Spider-Man versus the Grizzly, the Gibbon, and the Kangaroo. So you can only imagine, those are like D-list villains.
Yeah.
So it's cool to imagine what they would have looked like in the actual animated show. And so it's basically just Spider-Man just fighting these 3 goofy goons, and he's not having a very hard time with them. But Morlun eventually enters the fray, and in this continuity, it's the first time that Spider-Man has ever seen Morlun. And the Spider-Man and Morlun do fight, but also Morlun fights Grizzly, Gibbon, and Kangaroo. So it's just funny seeing like Morlun, who is extremely powerful, like in the main books. Spider-Man really couldn't take him down on his own. So it's funny seeing somebody that powerful fight like D-list villains like Grizzly, Gibbon, and Kangaroo. But that's pretty much it. We do see a little bit at the beginning of Morlun with Kane. And they definitely, and they did this a lot in the animated series, but they definitely change up Kane's kind of backstory quite a bit in this. But they do it to fit the animated series and to fit that story. But yeah, it feels like it's been more than a month since the first issue came out. I don't know if that's true or not, but this just continues, and we get some, Spider-Man and Morlun action. So this is our A cover right here. We got some cool variants. The action figure variant from John Tyler Christopher. This is the Marvel Animation variant, and we know from looking ahead to the solicitations that we're going to see Kraven at some point, which is going to be great. And we have this 1 in 25 Chris Campagna variant that we're selling for $19.99, and that's great. Love this
Man Spider.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, next up, I've got our next one-shot in the Imperial story. This is Imperial War, Imperial Guardians. This is by Dan Abnett and Jonathan Hickman, with art by Corey Smith and Luca Maresca. And this one's interesting because it takes place months before the Imperial story is going on, but it is kind of a lead up to it. We've got Gamora and Darkhawk, who were kind of on their own separate missions and wound up in the same place, only for Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, to show up to kind of confirm, hey, we're all investigating the same thing, and it has to do with Skrulls. Because apparently there's a rumor of a Skrull prophet or goddess that they thought was gone that is coming back and has kind of made herself known. And this is kind of bad because this is before the peace talks that we know happen in Imperial, and they think that, if this happened, this could really throw those peace talks in a bad way if this prophet lady is back and starting to say some things, and they just don't want anything to mess up this kind of intergalactic peace talks. But they are going to investigate this, and they kind of form their own little team to do it, which is really fun. Darkhawk is great in here, even though Carol is kind of really mean to Darkhawk, and he's like, you know who I am. but there are plenty of twists and turns, especially because it is scrolls. But what I'll say about this is it is cool. This is almost like seeing a through the back window of some of the stuff that we know happens in the Imperial story.
Yeah.
There's even some Inhuman stuff in here and all of that, and you see how those machinations are going to be coming into play. I'm not sure how this is going to lead into the new. What is the book called that is going to be?
I think it's the Imperial Guardians.
Okay, the Imperial Guardians, Guardians book. I'm not sure how they kind of remain a team 6 months in the future and all of that, but we'll have to read it when that happens to see. Fun twists and turns, like I said, and not necessary if you're reading the Imperial storyline, but a fun little addition to it. Just and like I said, it's a one shot, so there is your A cover. We've got a Bandini cover. We've got a Doily Super Scroll variant. And there is I'm not sure, I think this is a 1 in 25 Basil Dua variant. We're selling for $14.99. There's a lot of Super Scroll on the covers, but there's not really a lot of Super Scroll in the book.
There's some.
There's some.
Some, yeah. All right, I have the second issue of C.O.R.T, Children of the Round Table. And this issue, the kids, they still don't really know what these new weapons are that they found in the last issue. Of course, we know that it's basically the Knights of the Round Table, at least their spirits or their souls imbued into these weapons. So the kids are still a little bit freaked out by this, but they are going to try to figure out how to use these weapons. And some agents of Mordred come after Connor, who is this kid right here. But he is helped by a very surprising ally that I really want to know some more backstory there. Hopefully, we'll get that. He pulls the other kids together, but Mordred finds them, and I'm assuming they're going to start going on the run, which I think that sounds really cool because this book feels very like 1980s kid adventure movie with kids going on the run, and like Goonies where the kids go on the run and you have the Fratellis chasing after them. This is kind of like that with these agents of this organization Mordred chasing after them, wanting to get the weapons that they have, and a whole a lot bigger mystery is going on here. But yeah, if you like the first one, definitely check out the second one. This one also feels like it's been over a month since it's been out, but it may not have been, but it just feels like a while. And this is the only cover that I have currently. I'm not sure if there's a variant, but you can check the website to see. This also may be one of those where we're waiting on the other shipment, but check the website for variants.
Next up, I have Strange Tales #1. This is we weren't sure if this was a series of one-shots or a mini-series or how it is. I will say that this is a mini-series where the stories do connect. This is by Jeremy Whitley and Bailey Underwood. And in this, Nico Minaru is on the run from a dragon. That's kind of how it starts out. And of course, she opens a door to keep running and finds herself in Wanda's shop because that's where you go if you don't have anywhere else to go. That's where you end up. And she fills Wanda in on what just happened. And apparently, her girlfriend Carolina, Billy, and Teddy were all together playing a very D&D style game when it suddenly appears that the monsters that are in the game start manifesting in real life, like an ogre or an orc like bashes through the wall.
It's like Jumanji.
It is very Jumanji, and that just keeps going till where it can't stop. And so Nico and Wanda head off to try and stop this and figure out what's going on. But who is actually behind this kind of cursed game? You will find that out. But it is to be continued in the next issue. I do think maybe the perspective is going to switch a little bit from who it's going to be seeing.
You just thought they were separate because the second issue has Spider-Gwen and Green Goblin. And
in the Sanctum Sanctorum, and they do mention into this that like, hey, we need to get this to the Sanctum Sanctorum. So these are connected, but it feels like they will kind of have a little bit of their own story for each. Part of the main story does get resolved in here, but there are still other things, kind of dangling threads that I think are going to be continued as they go forward. So it's fun, especially if you like maybe the current Scarlet Witch series going on, or if you like those Young Avengers characters, you'll like this one. So there is your A cover. We also have this really cool Lusky variant, and yes, she does wear that in this book, so that's
Nice.
pretty cool. And that is all the variants I have for that.
Okay. Let's see. I've got there we go. I got one more. This is Spider-Man and Wolverine #6. Now, this is not part of the previous story arc. That first story arc ended last issue, though it is mentioned in here. But I want to talk about this one because this is a one and done story. I thought we were
Wow.
about to go into a new story arc, but this one is one and done of Spider-Man and Wolverine investigating a disturbance in some tunnels that the city is working on. So they got to go deep underground to figure out what's going on. And Spider-Man fans will recognize what it is that they find down there. But this is just fun. There's lots of action. The artwork, it's not by Kari Andrews, it's from Gerardo Sandoval, who also has a very stylized, everybody's big and bulky, and
Yeah.
it looks great. You know, it's not anatomically correct, but comic books aren't supposed to be like it looks great, tons of action, classic Spider-Man getting his suit torn up and that kind of thing. Yeah, so if you're just, if you haven't read the first 5 issues and you just want a cool Spider-Man story or a cool Wolverine story, you can grab this one, read it. You'll be done by the time it's over, and it's great. So I just wanted to shout this one out because this continues to be a fantastic series. This is our A cover here. This is this variant is the greatest cover that there's ever been in the history of comic books, and it's from Greg Land. So that is like the coolest thing ever.
Yep. Nice
Swedish
Chef
Chef
homage.
homage. Yeah. This is the Carlos Gomez cover, and that looks great too. That actually may reveal what they find down in the tunnel. It's not really a spoiler, but. And then this is the 1 in 25 Salvador LaRocca variant that we're selling for $14.99. I like the Wolverines up in the webs. Oh, he's pulling him back like a slingshot. Their version of the fastball special, I guess.
Now I can just hear Swedish Chef being like, "You're the best,
Yeah.
dude. What do I do?"
The fuck there is, what I do.
Cookie the chicken. Okay, briefly, I just want to mention the Star Wars Han Solo Hunt for the Falcon #2 is out this week, and this continues the kind of in between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens time frame where Han no longer has the Falcon. It's been passed through a couple of different hands, and now he is trying to get it back. And really, what he's trying to get back is his younger days. He kind of feels like he's become a little sedentary. He's not out with the adventures he once was. Chewie has kind of went with his family, and now he's getting the group back together to go find the Falcon. And this is also really cool because we get some flashbacks to Han, Leia, and their son Ben when he was young, learning about the Falcon, which I really liked that. But yeah, just another fun addition to this story, and it's great getting some older Han and Chewbacca content. This is our A cover for that. And we also have a Pagulayan variant, which I really like that one. And then I did want to briefly mention that on the Star Wars, there is Star Wars Hyperspace Stories. Tides of Terror #2 is out this week as well. This miniseries continues.
So I don't have any more books to talk about. However, I do have some honorable mentions. I think Annie's got some too.
Yep.
These are books that because our DC, our Image, and other stuff, those books didn't come until today. We did not have time to read these, but we absolutely would have if things had been different. If there hadn't, they'd come in on time. If there hadn't been so many other books to talk about, so we wanted to at least give them some recognition. We have here, actually, what am I doing here? We have here Action Comics number 1091, continuing the story of Superman as Superboy in Smallville. We also have Superman, the Kryptonite Spectrum #3. And in the end of last issue, we saw that I can't remember, the Cobalt Kryptonite maybe? Turns Superman into a little boy, and he's going to hang out with Captain Marvel here. There's also Everything Dead and Dying #2. This is a really cool story of the guy who actually lives with zombies in his town, and another group of strangers comes upon him, and what are they going to do when they find how he's living? And then we have Temporal #1 about these time thieves who hang up their thieving ways, but then this woman right here decides maybe she wants to do one more heist, and it's going to lead into some shenanigans. So we would have read all of those and talked about them, but it just wasn't in the cards this week.
Yep, and on that same note, Aquaman issue number 10. This one's really cool. The little bit of it I did get to read. It's Aquaman versus Ghost Pirates.
Sold.
And some really cool reveals about what happened in the previous storyline with Atlantis and Mara and all of that. But mainly, this is a Halloween style issue. It even takes place on Halloween as Aquaman and team fight Ghost Pirates. Another one that I really wanted to read, but we didn't get till the last second, is Super Creep Show. This is a one-shot for Creep Show, but with this one we have 3 stories, horror stories, but with a superhero twist.
Oh, I didn't know there was 3. I thought it was just 2.
Yeah, no, I believe there's Dan Waters does one with Carmen Di Giandomenico, Ryan Stegman with Riley Rossimo, and Ed Brisson with Andrea Brisson.
Dang, that's a
so
good
yeah,
teams.
This is really, really fun and great homage cover there. There's also the beginning of Red Book number 1 by James Tynan and Michael Avon Oeming, telling more stories, alien stories, and all of that, but this time with like Russian stories from Russia and other places other than the United States for that. So if you like Blue Book, definitely check out Red Book.
Put it together, make Purple Book.
We've got Event Horizon Dark Descent number 2. I loved issue number 1 of this. Super creepy, space, horror, all of that good stuff. So continuing with issue number 2 for that. We've got Supergirl number 6, which is also a Halloween issue where Supergirl kind of dreams and has visions of previous darker incarnations of herself, and a lot of really cool nods to some past storylines, pre-New 52, even all of that. So that's really cool. We've got Something is Killing the Children, a monster hunter walks into a bar. This is a one-shot. This is collecting some of the stories, the mini stories that were in Hello Darkness for a few issues, all put together in one issue. So if you missed those there, you can get this one. And lastly, I just wanted to talk about Conan the Barbarian. This is issue number 25. And I keep name dropping, but this last weekend when I was talking to Jim Zub at a con, he was showing me this issue. This issue is fully painted by Alex Horley. It's I believe oil painted.
Like you can see the canvas.
You can see the canvas.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It took him, I forgot how long, but months and months and months to do this issue. And it's just beautiful. And I love that this is a book that's not afraid to try some things like that out. And it definitely pays off here. So even if you're not reading the series, but you want a beautiful one-shot story, don't miss out on Conan the Barbarian issue 25.
So apologies to all the creators from those books. Like I said, just did not have time to read them.
Yeah.
We would have, but it was already a huge week. They came in late.
Yeah, it was a crazy big week, but hopefully you learned a couple of things and are better prepared for Wednesday when these books are in the stores, or you can go ahead and purchase them on infinityflux.net. Fantastic week of books. Don't miss out on DCKO. Don't miss out on Absolute Batman. Don't miss out on
Age of
Revelation, Amazing Spider-Man Torn. So many good things this week. And
Deluge from Ignition Press. Don't sleep on their books. They're great.
They're so good. But thank you so much for watching. It's a long show, but hopefully you learned a little bit. And until next time, see ya.